5 tips to guarantee that your photography will get infinitely better. Maybe not infinitely, your experience may differ, but will get significantly better if you follow these 5 tips. For those that have clicked on the link, there's a bonus tip which is coming at the end, tip number 6, or bonus tip. So stick around to the end and find out what that one is, because I guarantee it is something I do on every single shoot that I do. Every single time I pick up a camera, I do this thing. So stick around for that. Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to this week's video. You might have seen from the title of this video that I've made some pretty lofty claims. Oh, I've just hit a bush there. Did you hear that? Maybe not, because my new microphone, which has a muff, my new microphone has a muff. Can you see my muff? It seems to be doing a fantastic job so far, so we'll stick with that. So, going back to what I said, the video, I make some very lofty claims. Hawk, crow. The video makes some very lofty claims about being able to improve your photography with 5 simple tips, and I'm going to guarantee it. It's not a money back guarantee because you don't pay for this. However, I'm so confident that these tips, if you're fairly new or just intermediate in your photography, if you try these 5 tips, we'll get to them shortly. However, today we are walking up Benn Dubh, and I am clearly a little bit less fit than I thought I was. But wow, let's see if you can have a wee look and see at the colours, which I'll come to as one of my tips. But look at this. Nobody up. 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe 5:30 now. And yeah. There's tangerine skies, pink fluffy clouds. Bird, not a hawk. You see it? Alright, big guy. In case you're wondering, that's the fantastic Loch Lomond. We're going to look at it from a slightly different angle than we have done before, because we're going uphill. But what I've realised is, as I'm going up this hill, it's very early spring. Spring has kind of sprung, but a lot of things haven't come to life yet, but they will soon. Okay, so tip number 1. How do you improve your photographs guaranteed? Well, I'm a big believer that a good photograph can be taken anywhere. However, if you decide to go somewhere a little bit more special, make a little bit of an effort, like climbing a hill, getting a viewpoint that's slightly different from everyone else's, you give yourself a greater chance of getting an image that just might make it into your portfolio. So to make that point, as I said in the intro, I've came to Loch Lomond, which you can see panning out behind me just now, and I was about to set myself up for a fall there and say, if you can't take a good photograph here, then where can you take a good photo? But what I'm finding, because it is so early in spring, oh hello sheep, oh sheeplets. Oh, that's got horns. This could be tip number 1. Leave me alone. Do sheep have horns? Teeth? Bye. Tip number 1, go somewhere and give yourself the best chance of a photograph. Doesn't need to be up a mountain. It could be in a forest, it could be on the coast, it could be a lighthouse, it could be a castle, whatever. But just, rather than just going out a walk with your camera, pick something that stands a good chance of looking amazing when you hit the shutter. So yeah, I've came to Loch Lomond. I've said that before. And I'm quite fortunate that I live quite close to here. But I dare say there's somewhere near you, maybe half an hour in a car, hour in a car. Just get in the car and go there. And the tools that I find really useful are photo pills. Photo pills, Google Earth and Google Maps. Street View is a fantastic tool for going somewhere you've never been and having a look. And you can start plotting your way around some places you'd like to take some photos. So yeah, finally. Sun is, I would say, maybe half an hour from coming up. And there's the town of Luss. Well, yeah, guess what? See just down there? That's where my old microphone still lives. You want to hear what the fish have been saying? Hey, big guy. You saying hello? Hello to you too. I know, but I've got to because there's people watching on YouTube. Yeah, about 300, but thanks for rubbing it in. Stop laughing. Everyone's a critic. So, on to tip number, I'm going to say tip number 2. I could be wrong. Not sure if this is properly exposed because the sun is now over behind me. But tip number 2 is time of day. If you want to give yourself the best chance of taking some good photographs, then the time of day you go is quite important. I am out in what's called golden hour. You probably already know that. The time is probably about 6:30 in the morning. The sun is just rising over the hills over there, and it's quite stunning. That's going to hopefully bathe us in a nice warm orange glow, or that might just be my jacket. So yeah, the time of day is really important. So you can take great photographs any time of the day, middle of the night, middle of the day when the sun's straight above you. But it becomes a bit trickier because the sunlight is so direct, casts a lot of shadows. Yet when it's low on the horizon, as it is just now, what you tend to find is it just gives a nice subtle lighting effect that's very pleasing to the eye. I'm going to hopefully take some photographs, still not taking the camera out the bag yet, and that's another tip. However, your golden hours, start of the day, end of the day. Make sure you get out there. Blue hours another good time, just before the sun comes up and just after the sun has went down. You get some nice things happening up in the sky. Unfortunately this morning we don't have a lot of cloud cover, so any chance of the sky catching fire with the sun underneath the clouds, it doesn't look as if it's going to happen. But still, it's an absolutely glorious morning. There's not much wind, typical because I've got my muff. However, it is something else. So what I'm hoping for is that the sun will rise a little bit more and it will start to cover Loch Lomond in a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of sideways ambient light. It's just went behind a cloud. So that's 2 tips, isn't it? I think so. Go somewhere good and go at the right time. What's next? I know, it's tip number 3. And it's coming your way soon, so stay tuned. Are you working? I think you're working. Let's do a wee talkie bit to the camera. Come on. Okay, I hope you can see me. Can you see me? Tip number 3, guys, is the rule of thirds. Might be tip 4, might be tip 3. You can see it in the end video. But the rule of thirds. Rule is a strong word. It's more a suggestion. But basically what it does is it gives you a grid over your photograph, and I'll show you that on the screen. I'll overlay that grid so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So it's actually quite helpful today because it's so early in spring. Like I said, all the grass is dead, the trees don't have any leaves on them. However, I found this tree. I probably should know what that kind of tree is. It's a gnarly tree. Is that type of tree? Anyway, I've got a tree here, and behind it I have all the islands of Loch Lomond. And I'll show you, I've taken a photograph of just the islands. And it's a nice photograph, but when you look at it, you don't really know what you're meant to be looking at because it's just it's a big vista of the scene. So what I've set up here is a shot that's using this tree here, which you can't see, but I've taken some video footage and I'll stick that up as well. And what I've done is I've positioned it to the lower right third. It'll make sense when you look at it. And what that does to me is, well, certainly to my eye, is it gives a little bit more context to the scene. It gives a greater sense of depth in the image, so you can see something up close and then you've got whatever's behind. I shot it at f11, and the whole point of that was to try and get a sharp front to back. There's a chance that the back will be soft, but I still quite like that because this tree is very, very interesting. So yeah, rule of thirds. It's only a suggestion. You can do whatever you want. If you find that you have an image where you want the hero of your shot to be right smack bang in the middle, and by hero it could be a tree, a lighthouse, all those things I said before, that could be in the middle or it could be at the top or the bottom. But just the rule of thirds, if you've never used it and you tend to just point your camera and take a photograph, then I suggest you try it because it certainly will help. Try the rule of thirds. This tree has been offset. See what you think. I'll compare the two photographs together. But it's just a fantastic way of getting yourself into the frame of mind of thinking, I need to put certain things in the image in certain places. Otherwise you just end up just taking snapshots. I haven't even got the lens cap off here, but you can't see that. Tip number 4 will be coming up shortly, and it's my old favourite, composition, which is kind of what we've talked a little bit about here. So, tip number 4, 3, 5, 2, 1. Well, here, there's that gnarly tree I was telling you about. Tip number 4, to try, where possible, to always use a tripod. I've taken a couple of shots at a ridiculous focal length of 500 millimeters. I'll show you them. They're not the best photographs, but it was really just to illustrate the point that I'm shooting a photograph of 2 little islands, which are over there somewhere. And they're over 2 miles away. And if I tried to handhold that shot at that length, there's no chance that image would come out even nearly sharp. If you're looking for sharper photographs, you should use a tripod whenever you can. Little wee man in a jet ski. It's a boat. I'd recommend you use a tripod whenever possible because it will do a number of things. Not only does it mean that you get a sharper image, it also means on darker days or nights or whenever you're out filming or taking photographs, you can slow your shutter speed right down. Obviously, the longer your shutter is open, the more movement can get introduced into your shot, and that's where blur comes from. Excuse me while I sort myself out. This is straight downhill. I swear if I lose my balance, it'll take 20 minutes, but you'll see a ripple in that water when I hit it. An additional benefit of tripods is it slows you down. Sometimes when you take your camera out and you just point it at something, then you start to spray and pray. I'm like, oh, that's nice, that's nice. If you set up a tripod, you're kind of anchored to one place. I mean, you can move it about a little bit, and then you get your composition sorted. Anyway, what I thought I'd do just now is, you've been sending in your questions in the hundreds, maybe even thousands. So I thought what I'd do today is go through some of those questions and answer them for you. Yeah, question 1. Susie79. David, do you only have the one jacket? That's a bit rude. Davey264 at Hotmail. Hi Davey, how you doing? Let me see. David, have you only got one jacket? Nope, that's rude. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder? Why have you only got one jacket? Davey, lose the jacket. Well, I don't really care, because you can say what you want. I will not be influenced by anything that you say or do. So, oh, there's a good question. Right, David. So, David, when you go out on your shoots, I always marvel at just how great you are. Oh, hello. It's obvious you're a superstar, and you should just stick at doing what you're doing. Just glad to see you smile and have so much fun. Love, Mum. Anyway, if you'd like to drop me a question, please do so in the comments, or if you found this useful or if you found it not useful, then just let me know. I'll just keep trying to come up with stuff that you might find helpful. So let's talk a little bit about composition. What I have here in front of me is this lovely house. You can see that there's a bit of a path here that's leading into the shot, all of that sort of stuff. So again, you need to start to think about how can you get all of those components into the image. Very easy to do this, and I'll put this picture up here, and that's just point at the house and take the photograph. Doesn't look overly great. However, when you start to think about where you're going to stand and take your photograph, I'm literally moving 7-8 paces. What I've got up here is the lovely gorse bushes are now starting to come out. You have a different sort of texture, you have a different tone, totally different image. Composition's so important. Don't just see something and think, I want to take that photograph. Take your time, have a look about. Composition. Tip number. Where are we at? So we've done location, we've done time of day, we've done use a tripod, we've done composition, and the rule of thirds. There you go, all 5. So if you try and start to bring these things into your photographs, I guarantee you they will get better. It might not be fantastic in your first outing, but they will start to get better because you put more thought into what you're actually doing. So that's us for this week. Apart from one more thing, I've got a bonus tip to give you. And the bonus tip is always shoot in RAW. Shooting in RAW makes such a difference once you get back to the house and you put the images onto your computer. Excuse those ducks. Guys, I know, I'm telling them, RAW, got it. They're much bigger file sizes and they do take up a lot more space in your computer, but that's because there's so much more detail in the photographs. When you get them back into Lightroom, Capture One, or whatever editing software you're using, you will appreciate having that much more data to recover bright skies or to lighten the shadows a little bit without getting too much noise in. If you shoot in JPEG, what you tend to do is they look great out of camera. You put them onto your computer and you think, oh, that looks okay, but there's not much more you can do with them. They start to fall apart quite quickly when you start to boost the colours and lighten the shadows, and editing is as much a part of the process as getting out and taking the photograph. That's tip number 6, the bonus tip. Make sure you shoot in RAW always. So I'm going to sit here for a little bit on the beach and then ponder next week's video. Could we get to New York? We shall see.